The game never stops, and neither do we. Welcome in to the SDH Network. We're always around the corner from everywhere, and it's time for another edition of the Morning Espresso. Brought to you by Oglethorpe University, Atlanta's premier undergraduate learning experience and soccer powerhouse. A trophy, a big check, and a FIFA badge are on the line today in Doha. FIFA adjusts its World Cup ticketing strategy under a lot of pressure, and Nigeria may have found a backdoor into the 2026 World Cup. They need a lot of help to get that door open. Let's get into it right now. Today in Doha, PSG and Flamengo, they meet with global bragging rights on the line in the FIFA Intercontinental Cup final. This is the competition that has, in a way, replaced the old FIFA Club World Cup. When that turned into a 32-team summer tournament, this is a little closer to what it used to be with a few tweaks. The symbolism hasn't changed of what this is. You win tonight, you win the FIFA Champions badge on your shirt for the next year. For PSG, this is about stacking history. They finally broke through with their first Champions League title last season. They did fall short in the Club World Cup final in July against Chelsea. Now, Luis Enrique has a chance to close the year with another big milestone. PSG come in rested. Several starters were rotated over the weekend in Liga, although Achraf Hakimi didn't travel due to an injury. Luis Enrique has been clear about the mindset of this trip. Making history can't be a one-off. It has to be sustained. Flamengo, this is different for Flamengo, for South American clubs in general. This has always been treated as a summit meeting. This has always been treated maybe with a little more reverence from the South American teams. And this goes all the way back to the old Intercontinental Cups that were played between the Libertadores winner and the UEFA Champions Cup winner, predating the Champions League. It was always seen as a global benchmark in South America, where I think its importance would vary depending on the club, depending on the year from the European clubs. Flamengo, they got past Cruz Azul to get to this match. They got past Pyramids of Egypt to get to this match. They are chasing their second ever Intercontinental Cup title, the first since that 1981 side that was led by Zico. I've said it before on Morning Espresso. If you don't know Zico, fire up the YouTube machine and watch some clips of Zico. He was one of those players, he's part of the 82 Brazilian team, which was amazing and seen as one of the great attacking teams of all time, kind of one of the great what-ifs in World Cup history. So he never got the World Cup. By 86, he was dealing with injuries, and he wasn't playing at the level that he had been previously. He never lifted the World Cup, so I think at times Zico maybe gets forgotten. He doesn't buy Flamengo fans. He doesn't, especially with that 1981 team that he led to an Intercontinental Cup title. Veteran left back Alexandro, he summed it up perfectly, saying that Flamengo intends to enjoy every minute here, every second, every touch, because matches like this don't come around often. It is a European favorite against a South American giant, a big statement to end the calendar year. You can watch it at noon on BN Sports. If you don't have BN Sports through your traditional providers, you can go to Fanatiz, FNTZ.co/soccer down here. If you haven't already subscribed to Fanatiz, I've had it, I feel like, for a decade now. And if you want to watch soccer all over this hemisphere, Fanatiz is a must. So highly recommended. Let's go to the World Cup and tickets and maybe a little bit of a response here from FIFA. I mean, you could say they blinked maybe a little bit. You've had some backlash from supporters groups. The governing body announced a new supporter entry tier ticket priced at $60 for all 104 matches at the 2026 World Cup, including the final. These tickets will be reserved for fans of qualified teams. They make up about 10% of each federation's allocation. FIFA's framed it as support for traveling fans amid what it calls extraordinary global demand. More than 20 million ticket requests have already been submitted. Not all the supporters groups are happy about it. Football Supporters Europe, they welcome the acknowledgement, but they say that there's not enough tickets in this pricing tier. I get it. Prices are higher than they've been for any other World Cup. I get it. That's happening across all sports and all events. I feel like tickets for big concerts, for Super Bowls, for college football playoff games, all these different things, prices are higher now than they used to be. I think the World Cup jump in prices maybe a little bit further than I don't want to say they should have, because it's not me to say that. The demand is there and people are buying the tickets, so it's hard to say that they're outpricing the demand. They are outpricing some people, and I'd put my hand up in that. But also, and I hate to say it, like, I'm kind of understanding that that's going to be the case for a lot of things. It's just that's where consumption is going on major events. FIFA did promise lower entry prices in their original bid documents. There are concerns about other things, including accessibility, provisions for supporters with disabilities. The first ticket draw for all price categories is set for January 13th. That date is now a big deal, and will we see any other changes? I don't know if this conversation in general is done. Let's go to Nigeria. They might not be done in this World Cup cycle after all. The Nigerian Football Federation has filed a formal complaint with FIFA over the use of several players by DR Congo during their African playoff series last month. Nigeria lost that final on penalties. That puts DR Congo into the intercontinental playoff. But this claim centers on nationality eligibility. Nigeria alleged that between 6 and 9 DR Congo players were ineligible due to issues with dual nationality and the process of switching international allegiance. Under Congolese law, dual citizenship is not recognized. But here's the complication. FIFA rules don't care about domestic nationality law. They only require a valid passport from the country a player represents, which FIFA confirmed was in place before those players were cleared. Nigeria's argument is that FIFA was deceived during that clearance process and that fraudulent documentation may have been used. FIFA's investigating, decision expected. It's got to be soon because those intercontinental playoffs are in March. And this could also bring Cameroon back into the mix because they lost to DR Congo in the first game of that playoff series in Africa. If Nigeria somehow succeed, I mean, this would get wild. I don't know how you do it. I don't know where you're going to find the time for Nigeria and Cameroon, I guess, to play. And then the winner goes into this interconfederational tournament. I don't know. Qualifying's not always just decided on the pitch anymore. You got legal sides, you got administrative sides, you got regulatory battles. It's all getting very, very interesting. Let's bounce around the world. Spain, Barcelona, they survived a tricky Copa del Rey trip to Guadalajara. Late goals from Andreas Christensen and Marcus Rashford finally broke down the third division team. You had kickoff delayed because of the temporary grandstand that needed to be cleared. It was a frustrating night for Barca, but they got it done. Deportivo La Coruña, they provided an upset in Copa del Rey action. They knocked out Mallorca. Real Sociedad and Valencia also advanced. In England, Chelsea, they leaned on their depth to reach the League Cup semifinals. Second half substitutions, Alejandro Garnacho and Pedro Neto, they changed the match at Cardiff, turning a nervy night into a 3-1 win. We go to Colombia next. Tonight's about pride and trophy. Independiente Medellín and Atlético Nacional, they return to the pitch for the decisive leg of the Copa BetPlay final, level after a scoreless first leg. One goal might be all that decides it here. So that's the cup final tonight. The league side of things, Atlético Junior, they are already celebrating a 4-0 aggregate win over Tolima, delivered their 11th league title and a direct ticket into the 2026 Copa Libertadores group stage. It was a big night for the Sharks of Junior. Let's get into the refill, some quick sips before we go. FIFA, they approved a record $727 million prize pool for the upcoming World Cup. They also announced new U15 festival tournaments beginning next year. Aitana Bonmati, she made history with a third straight FIFA Best Women's Player Award, while Ousmane Dembélé took the men's honor. There's reports out of Brazil that suggest that the Brazilian national team could base their World Cup camp at Red Bull New York's facility in New Jersey next summer. Sophia Wilson reportedly exercised a $1 million player option with the Portland Thorns. That would be a new NWSL salary benchmark and could be announced later today. Jordan, they have reached their first Arab Cup final, and they will face Morocco on Thursday. That's big for Jordan as they continue their rise in national team play, getting to the Arab Cup final. They're going to their first World Cup next summer. Watch out for them against Morocco on Thursday. And MLS, they continue their off-season movement. San Diego FC have landed Lewis Morgan, which had been reported previously. Inter Miami closing in on a return for Luis Suarez. You had some other moves. Justin Che goes to Red Bulls. Interesting to hear some of the rumors about Robert Lewandowski, maybe in Chicago. There's a lot of whispers in Spain about what could be going on there. There's also some more rumors in Spain about potential movement of Atleti players like Koke and Antoine Griezmann to Miami. So stay tuned. It could be a very expensive either January window or post-World Cup window when it comes to MLS. From Doha to Medellín, from ticket pricing to playoff appeals, the global game, it never slows down on the field, off the field. It just finds new ways to raise the stakes and keep us all connected. We'll be here to explain it all every morning on the Morning Espresso. Make sure you are subscribed to the newsletter portion at soccerdownhere.net/connect. Also, no SDH AM on Wednesday. I'll be back later today with my interview with new Atlanta United 2 manager Jose Silva. We'll have an article and interview with him coming up later on the SDH Network. And more Morning Espresso tomorrow to break down all the action from today in Copa del Rey, the Intercontinental Final, all the things. Lots of games, Colombia as well. Lots of games today. I'm sure there will be lots of news. You know there's going to be lots of rumor and innuendo. This is what we love about this sport, isn't it? We're always around the corner from everywhere. Thank you for being part of the SDH Network, and big thank you to Oglethorpe University for sponsoring the Morning Espresso.